This is Mark Hamlin. I'll be your host. I'm out of Richmond, Virginia, and I'd like to welcome you to the webinar. I want to do a sound check. If you can hear me okay, please say hello and let us know where you're calling from.
James, Smith in Myrtle Beach.
All right, Champ, how you doing today?
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
All right. Happy Independence Day to you.
Happy 4th to you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, you're the first on. We'll be getting started here in just a few moments. I hope you had a good weekend.
Yes.
Very good. Very good. All right. So it was, I got plenty of rest yesterday. Didn't take any phone calls. I think maybe I took one or two, but not many. And spent some time with the family. We cooked out, those kind of things. Didn't go anywhere, just kind of relaxed at home. So it was good. How about yourself? Did you go anywhere?
Yeah, well, I went out to the beach. Took my big kid out to the beach.
All right. All right. Nice. Nice. Was it crowded out there?
It was crowded, man.
Wow. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mark Hamlin. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar. If you just got on and haven't had a chance to do so, please state your name and let us know where you're calling from. All right, so we'll be starting here in just a few moments and open it up for questions. So if you do have any questions, just go ahead and jot those down during the presentation. And afterwards, we want to make sure you get all your questions answered. So thank you so much for being with us. We'll be started shortly. Please stand by. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so this is Mark Hamlin. I'd like to welcome you to this very powerful information we're going to be sharing with you tonight. And if you are on the phone and you want to get on the webinar, you're going to want to log into powerbuildwebinar.com. Register on the site, then check your email for the link. Click on the link, and that will take you to the webinar after a few moments to download the software. So glad to have you with us.
All callers are muted and they can unmute themselves.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mark Hamlin. We'll be getting started here in about another 2 moments. We have got a few minutes to go. I'd like to wish everyone a happy Independence Day, 4th of July. I hope you had a great weekend, had an opportunity to spend some time with your family. So we're going to be talking about new possibilities. You know, we live in the greatest country on the planet. And you know, what I like about America is that America is all about freedom and it's about ownership. But in order to do either one of those two, ladies and gentlemen, you need the resources because neither one of those are free. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the phenomenon of crowdfunding and how anyone can get funding for personal, business, and charitable purposes. And the great thing, ladies and gentlemen, is that this money is not a grant, it's not a loan, and there is no repayment required. So we're going to break this down so you have a thorough understanding of how this works. So you may want to take some notes. Everything that we're going to share with you tonight, you can verify it yourself in the comfort of your home by just Googling on the internet. So stand by. We're going to get started in about 60 more seconds. Glad to have you with us. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mark Hamlin, and this workshop is being recorded. How many of you would agree that it's time for new possibilities in America? It seems as though there's no one to support the middle class, and everyone wants to get a piece of the middle class. But today we're going to share with you what we call a new blueprint. It's the next emerging solution to help the middle class, not only in America, but around the world. So let's go ahead and get started. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about crowdfunding, and over the next few moments, we're going to break this down so you have a thorough understanding of what crowdfunding is, where it came from, and how to utilize it to get all the funding that you need for personal needs, business goals, or charitable purposes. Now, here's the great thing. This is not a grant, it's not a loan, and there is no repayment required. So let's get into it. What is crowdfunding? Crowdfunding is the internet's #1 newest and most exciting phenomenon and social trend for raising funds. It's the idea of passing a basket around at church with a large crowd of people being able to contribute small amounts of money, which combined meet the financial goal of any organization, group, or individual. Now, crowdfunding has gotten a lot of media attention. In fact, Forbes magazine had a recent article, "Crowdfunding is the next big trend." That's August 2014. And Wikipedia defines it as the practice of funding a project or venture by raising monetary contributions from a large number of people, typically via the internet. So in a nutshell, crowdfunding is 21st century fundraising. So if you're raising money for your personal needs, for your business goals, for your charitable projects, by selling cookies or cakes, magazine subscriptions, doing yard sales and flea markets, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's old school. We want to bring you to the 21st century and to the information age. So let's go a little further. So crowdfunding is a worldwide phenomenon that is now helping to make the dreams of people just like you and I come true every day. To the tune of over $6 billion was given to people to help them in 2013, excuse me, and over $16 billion in 2014, and the World Bank estimates over $96 billion within the next few years. So crowdfunding is now a powerful new global economy. So let's compare crowdfunding to Facebook. In 2013, Facebook and crowdfunding were neck and neck in terms of the revenue that they generated, with Facebook grossing about $6 billion in that year, and crowdfunding grossing $6 billion in 2013 as well. But with crowdfunding reaching $16 billion in 2014, it has now outperformed Facebook by billions of dollars. Bigger than Facebook, now that's powerful. Powerful enough to fund any project, big or small, that you may desire. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few examples of what crowdfunding has done to help a few people. First of all, I'm going to talk about James Robinson. Now, James Robinson lives in Detroit, and I want to share his story with you. He works in a factory. He makes about $10 an hour. And a few years ago, his car broke down. He couldn't afford to repair it. He couldn't afford to buy a new one, so he did the next best thing. He walked back and forth to work 10 miles each way for over 13 years. Well, his friends noticed. They did a crowdfunding campaign on his behalf. Their goal was to raise $25,000 to purchase a car for him. The news media got a hold of the story. They publicized it all over the world, and people just like you and I gave small donations, which totaled over $300,000 if you're looking on my screen. So I have a couple of questions for you. First of all, did this really happen? If you have any doubt about it, just go online and Google James Robinson and crowdfunding, and you'll be able to see for yourself. In addition to that, let me ask you this. Did this money come from the government? Was this a grant? Was this a loan? And does this money have to be repaid? And the answer is no, ladies and gentlemen. This money was donated. And the last question, is crowdfunding legal? Well, go online and Google that as well. And one of the things you're going to find out is that crowdfunding has been going on since 2008. You're going to discover that there are over 600 crowdfunding platforms out there. Even our president used a form of crowdfunding in order to raise $1 billion to get into the White House. His average donations was less than $15 per person. So let's go ahead and take a look at another example. Now, this is Natalie, and Natalie is a chef. She loves to bake, and she would take her products down to the flea market and sell them until she was able to raise enough money to open up her own bakery shop in a little town called Ferguson. You ever heard of Ferguson? Well, unfortunately, her business was one of those shops that was looted and destroyed. So after all that hard work and all that sacrifice, they destroyed her business. Well, her friends got together and they put together a crowdfunding campaign. Their goal was to raise $20,000 to help her. And people just like you and I gave small donations, which totaled over $270,000. Well, needless to say, Natalie was able to rebuild her place, even better than it was before the riots. And that's a great thing, isn't it? So I have a few questions for you. Did this money come from the government? Did it come from the banks? Was it a loan? Was it a grant? And does it have to be repaid? And the answer is absolutely no. Next question, would you like some? Now let's take a look at another example. This is Hector. Now Hector lost his job and he lives in Chicago, and his family became a one-income family. Now they had to move from their two-bedroom apartment to his mother's basement because they couldn't afford the $850 rent with just one income. So Hector went to his church and he made a donation into their shared crowdfunding platform. He did what he was taught, and in 90 days, he was able to raise a significant deposit to put on this 4-bedroom house, and he was able to close on it. So let me tell you more about this story, because I met Hector's pastor on the internet, and they decided that they were going to do a crowdfunding project to raise money for a business. They were going to use the income from the business to fund the ministry. Because, you know, when churches are struggling, their people are struggling, right? So not only do individuals, organizations, and nonprofits have to be innovative, but we all need to be a little innovative in tough times. And so they introduced this to the congregation. They said, as you know, we're raising money to purchase this business. We're going to use the income from the business to fund the ministry. Now, you can donate through the offering basket, but this time we're going to do something different. We're going to do a crowdfunding project, and we're going to promote it around the world. Now, if you will donate to our crowdfunding project, this is what we're going to do for you. As a community, we're going to come together and support your project and help you raise the money that you need for your family. Perhaps you need money to renovate your house. Maybe you're unemployed, you need some money to carry you over till you start another job. Perhaps you want to send your kids to college, or maybe you want to start a business. Now, how many of you would like to work with us on that level? Raise your hands. What kind of response do you think that they received? That's right, it was a very good response. Why? Because organizations, churches, nonprofits, and groups are particularly during this time looking out for their supporters through this awesome concept called community crowdfunding, which is a win-win situation. Everybody wins when the community comes together in support of one another. So we're going to break it down a little more so you understand it even further. So let me ask you, do you have a dream, a project, or an aspiration that's close to your heart? And what is your dream exactly? Maybe you want to start or expand a business. Perhaps you want to start a ministry, or maybe you want to build or renovate a church. You might want to create a project to make the world a better place. Maybe you want to fund home improvements or pay for college loans or even a wedding. Perhaps you need a new car, you need a new house. You want to improve your retirement situation, or you simply want to pay off loans, pay off bills. Maybe you even want to pay off your mortgage. Well, ladies and gentlemen, these are reasons why you too should have your own crowdfunding project with people making small donations that add up to a lot to help you. So you may say, well, Mark, why would someone want to help me pay off my mortgage, for example? Well, hold on, we're going to break it down for you. You're going to thoroughly understand why someone would be willing to do that for you as well. Now, first thing you need to understand, as I mentioned earlier, there's over 600 crowdfunding platforms out there. There's crowdfunding for all kinds of things and situations. There's crowdfunding for teenage moms, for veterans, for people with different medical challenges. There's even crowdfunding for investors. There's something called equity crowdfunding. You might want to take a look at that. Now, most of these crowdfunding platforms have 3 things in common, however. First of all, they charge you a fee or a percentage of your donations for using their platform. In other words, they get to keep a percentage of the donations that are received. Second, they require you to do your own marketing. This means that you have to contact hundreds of thousands of people through your own efforts to ask for contributions. So let me ask you this. Is crowdfunding a handout, or is there work involved? That's right, there's work involved. You have to actually go out and ask for help. And thirdly, many of these platforms have time limits. In other words, if you don't reach your funding goal within a certain time limit, in some cases, they will actually return the donations to the donators. So ladies and gentlemen, this type of crowdfunding is called direct funding. I'm going to break it down right now so you have a thorough understanding of how this works and what it takes to have a successful crowdfunding project of your own. Well, first of all, you need to write your story down, and you need to choose one of these platforms that's going to host it for you. Just a couple of paragraphs, doesn't have to be long. Next, it becomes your responsibility to do your own promoting. You have to actually go out and tell people about your project. Now, the projects that raise the most money, they already have a large database of supporters, or people who know, like, and trust them. Are any of you on Facebook? Do you have friends on Facebook? Well, you might want to get a few more friends, because those people are most likely to donate to you because they already know you. Make sense? Now, it also helps to have money for advertising, and it helps to have a team of people promoting one particular project. And finally, if you have a media-worthy project like James Robinson and you're lucky, you just might get media attention, and that's free advertising, and that's always good. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, most projects don't have these resources. People seem to think that you can just put the project on the platform and the donations are going to come. But it doesn't work like that. There's work involved, as we just explained. And unfortunately, only a small percentage of people in projects actually get funded. I read an article recently, only 10% get funded because people don't know what's involved. But now you know. You've been informed and educated, so you know what it takes. So what makes us different? Because you're going to find that we are a crowdfunding platform just like all the others. The only thing is that we're supercharged. Well, first of all, direct funding with us is totally free. And it's our gift to you just for being on this webinar tonight. So you're definitely going to want to thank the person who referred you. So let me explain to you how it works with us. First of all, we do not charge you to host your project. As we mentioned, there's no cost involved. We also do not collect your donations. They go directly to you. On those other platforms, the money goes through the company, which means you have to wait for the company to release the money to you, maybe a week, maybe 30 days, maybe 60 days. With us, you receive 100% of the donations because we don't want any of the donations. We don't even want a percentage of it. And although you have to do your own promoting, all the donations go directly to you with no waiting for your money, because some people, they're in a tough situation. They need some support yesterday. And so we enable you to do that with our platform. So this is what makes us different from the other platforms. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with direct funding, for the most part, you're still pretty much on your own. So what does that mean? When you stop promoting your project, the donations stop. Can you see that? So we have created a better way. Today, we're going to share with you a revolutionary new way to accelerate your funding efforts for any campaign you may have. And in the process, help many others do the same. Because it's one thing for you and I to get the support that we need, but it's another thing if we can show other people how to get the support that they need. That's true greatness. Wouldn't you agree? So we call this accelerated funding because it provides several benefits. First of all, it gives you the ability to help others. You know, something really special about that, when you go out of your way to help others, it has a way of coming back to you. Would you agree with that? Also, you'll have the ability to get instant donations as well as cash donations. We spoke about that earlier. Some people in the situation, they need help immediately. As well as you'll have the ability to receive primary and secondary donations, and we'll be talking about that in a little more detail, as well as international donations. So let's talk about this. International donations are important because we live in a global economy now. When you go out and apply for jobs, you're competing with people all around the world. So one of the ways that you stabilize yourself economically in this global economy is by reaching out internationally. So this will empower you to receive donations from all around the world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, crowdfunding is a new concept, but it's also an old concept. It comes from something called cooperative economics. Have you ever heard of that before? Well, cooperative economics is what people have done throughout history to help one another, especially when they individually lack the resources. Now, I work with a lot of investors, a lot of real estate agents, and I discovered that mortgages in America have only been around since the 1930s. So I asked the question, how were homes built before mortgages existed? Well, people either did one or two things. They either paid cash or they actually came together and helped each other build homes and bonds. Isn't that a novel idea? People helping each other. And the way it worked is that you would lend your time and your talent within the community to help build someone else's house, even if all you could do was cook or clean up. And then when your time came around, the community would come over and they would help you build your house. Isn't that amazing? Now, here's another concept you may not be aware of. It's called ROSCA. It stands for Rotating Savings and Credit Association. It's also known as the Poor Man's Bank. So here's how this works. Around the world, participants make regular contributions to a fund, which is distributed in whole or in part to each contributor in rotation. So this will be small groups of people who know each other, and they would all agree to put so much money in a fund. So let's say you have 5 people, they put $1,000 a month in the fund. So that's $5,000 a month in the fund for 5 months. In rotation, each of the five would get to take the entire $5,000, go out and start their own business, or go out and fund their business. Pretty cool, right? Now, this wasn't based on your credit score. This was based on your ability to be a man or woman of integrity, a person who would keep their word and would continue to put the $1,000 in for 5 months even after you receive yours. Now, many of these communities, they're honor-based. In other words, if you didn't keep your word, it would spread around the community and no one would work with you in that manner again. Also, it would reflect not only on you, but it would reflect upon your family. So this concept has been taking place around the world for years. In fact, in Latin America, it's called tandas. In Mexico, it's called cadenas. In West Africa and the Caribbean, it's called susu. In Asia, it's called we. In Brazil, it's called quinila. And in India and Pakistan, it's called the ko. And so, you look around in America, you see different groups establish themselves economically in business and purchase businesses. But what you don't see is that in many cases, the people actually came together and they helped each other economically with the money. Isn't that interesting? And I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that perhaps that's the solution for the middle class in America today. People coming together in support of one another. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what crowdfunding is, because amazing things happen when people come together like that. So I want to introduce you tonight to community crowdfunding. This is where people coming together in similar ways to create inspired lives for one another. So what's an inspired life? An inspired life is when you've got the resources to go out there and live out your gift and your callings, your talents, rather than being tied down to a job because you have to have the money in order to support your family. Can we stop here for just a moment? I just want to talk to you for just a moment. In my research studying this whole topic, I came across a book called The Hidden Story of Cooperatives in America. It's entitled For All the People by a gentleman named John Curl. He's a historian. And he found that just 200 years ago in America, 92% of people were self-employed entrepreneurs. They were farmers, they were merchants, craftsmen, and they were artisans. And the last thing that these early Americans ever wanted to do was to have to go out there and get a job, because they considered that to be wage slavery. You might want to look that word up, wage slavery. The definition is when your ability to take care of your family is dependent on someone else paying you a salary. And that's the situation, ladies and gentlemen, that those early Americans never wanted to be in. They wanted as much independence as they possibly could get. Well, we've gone from 92% self-employed to 92% employees in America. So I asked the question, what happened? Can we talk about that? Something called the Industrial Revolution. A guy by the name of Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin, which was a way to separate the seed from the cotton. That caused the explosion of chattel slavery in the South and the growth of wage slavery in the North, where they worked those immigrant women and children long hours in those sweat houses. Well, we got into the Civil War, and our country began doing something that it's been doing ever since. It started printing money that it didn't have to pay for a war that it could not afford. Well, needless to say, the South lost. That caused hyperinflation. A lot of people, out of desperation, had to go and get jobs. Then, of course, we had the Great Depression, which was terrible, and that led us to where we are now. 92% of people are employees. But you've got to be able to see the big picture. One of the great benefits of the internet, ladies and gentlemen, is that we have more access to truth and fact than we have ever had in the history of mankind. And so now you can Google online and you can learn all kinds of things. The question is, are you open-minded enough to receive it and then to act upon the new knowledge that you have gained? Well, one of the things that you'll realize is that a system was started in America called the boss system. The boss system is where you and I were taught certain things since we were little children. We were taught, and see if you can finish this sentence. We were taught, go to school, get a good education, so you can graduate and get a good what? That's right, get a good job. Isn't that what we were taught? And guess what? We bought that hook, line, and sinker. Well, how well has that worked out for us? The boss system, who does that benefit? That benefits the bosses, the Andrew Carnegies, the Rockefellers, the Mellons, and the rest of them. Those are the same men who created the 20-year retirement plan. How well has that worked when you have 50% of the population retiring with less than $25,000 saved up? It doesn't work very well. But this is what I like about America. This is what I like about innovation. People came together to find a better way to help one another, and it's called crowdfunding. Now, remember what Napoleon Hill said. He said it's literally true that you can succeed best and quickest by helping others to succeed. Would you agree with that? Rather than doing it by yourself, paycheck to paycheck, because as a community, ladies and gentlemen, we're very wealthy. But it's when we go out there on our own, trying to do it by ourselves, that's when we struggle. So what would happen if the people just came together just a little bit in supporting one another? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're going to talk about tonight, because we're going to share with you how anyone can raise unlimited funds via crowdfunding for your favorite project, dream, or personal aspiration. And in the process, share it forward to help other family, friends, and business connections do the same. Truly, this is the spirit of people helping people. So I'm going to read a few disclaimers because we do have some legalities that we have to honor. And first of all, community crowdfunding is not a business or an income opportunity. It is a donation distribution formula, and it's purely based on crowdfunding. And we make no claims or guarantees of the contributions that your project will receive. Each individual's project success depends largely on his or her commitment, desire, and personal effort. So the amount of money that a person raises for their project, what is that based on? It's based on your personal efforts. So this is all about you going out there and doing what you need to do to raise money for yourself. This is a level playing field. Hopefully you can see that. Now, how do we build this community? Because this is a crowd. Crowdfunding is about putting together a community. We do it by word of mouth, by sharing the concept, just like we're doing tonight, making people aware of what happens through crowdfunding and what happens when people work together. So crowdfunding, community crowdfunding, is referral based. And the following example I'm about to give you is not typical, and it is hypothetical. And in the real world, it may never happen in this manner, because some project managers will refer 5, some 2, some 1, and some none. But some will refer many more. So each situation is unique. Your total financial risk is only the initial donation that you make to your first project, which is non-refundable and a personal choice. So let's talk about this for a moment. So we have 2 ways that we raise money. The first way is called direct funding. We talked about that earlier. You write your story, you promote it yourself, people donate, the money goes directly to you, you get 100% of the money. How much does that cost to do that with us? Do you remember? That's right, that's free. That's what makes us different from the other platforms. We don't want any of your money. The money goes straight to you. You get 100% of the money. That's totally free. You just got to be willing to go out there and ask for support. Now, the downside to that method is that when you start promoting your project, what happens to the donations? The donations stop. So we have a better way. It's called community crowdfunding. Within the community, we support the projects of one another. So how do you join this community? By making a donation to the project of the person or the organization that referred you. It's a one-time donation of $200. Now, here's the great thing. You don't have to go back in your pocket again. There are no monthly fees and there are no yearly costs. It's just that one-time donation. And 100% of that donation goes to the project of the person or the organization that referred you. Isn't that interesting? So I have a question for you. So to join this community, you must first give in order to receive, right? So what are you going to give? A one-time donation of $200. You never have to go in your pocket again. There are no monthly fees and there are no yearly costs. How much of the money actually goes to the project that referred you? That's my question. 100%. So now, if 100% of the money goes to the project of the person who referred you or the organization that referred you, is there any money left for anybody else? All right, let me ask that one more time. If 100% of the money went to the project that referred you, is there any money left for anybody else? That's right, no, there isn't, because they got all the money. That's why you know, ladies and gentlemen, that this is not a pyramid. All right, so I have to say that because people think all kinds of things. So we just want to get that out of the way right now. So let's go a little further. In this presentation, ladies and gentlemen, we just want to give you a taste of how it works. We have other presentations that go into more detail for the mathematicians in the crowd. All right, so this is just an overview. So first thing you need to understand is that there are projects in our community already. There's probably well over, in fact, I know there's well over 40,000, and we're adding 300 to 500 projects daily. All right. So now, in order for these projects, if you're looking at my screen, you're going to see 7 projects here. In order for these projects to join our community, they must first give in order to receive, right? So let's talk about them. And this formula, by the way, is very simple, very easy to understand. So the first project is a gentleman who has a handicapped son. He needs to raise $50,000 to purchase a new handicap-equipped van. The second project is a gentleman who has an after-school program. He services about 700 children throughout the school season, and he needs to raise money to do some modifications to his bus. The third project is a gentleman who wants to teach people how to become financially literate, but he wants to do it without any charges, so he's raising money to pay his expenses. The fourth project is a gentleman who wants to feed starving children around the world. And the last 3 projects are people just like you and I, raising money for personal needs, for business goals, and for charitable purposes. So once you join the community, ladies and gentlemen, you have a job. What's the job? Spread the word. Let the people know that there's a way for them to get funding for personal, business, or charitable projects. The great thing is not a grant, it's not a loan, and there's no repayment required. The money is coming through crowdfunding. Do you know anyone who needs funding for anything? Ladies and gentlemen, if you can say that in any language, you can raise all the funding you need for your project, and you're about to see how right now. So remember now, once you join the community, you have a job. What's that? Spread the word. So project number 1, he went out and he spread the word to 5 individuals or organizations within the first week. So let's take a look at those, because these are all real projects. The first one is a sports team. They need money for equipment, uniforms, and traveling expenses. Second is the businessman who wants to raise money to start a business. Next, we have the college student who wants to graduate college debt-free. Isn't that a novel idea? Finally, next we have the married couple that wants to pay for their wedding and honeymoon. And finally, we have the aspiring author. This is a young lady who wants to self-publish a few books. So in order for them to join the community, they had to make a donation to project number 1. How much? $200 one time out of the pocket. So what is 5 times 200? Right, that's $1,000. So how much of that $1,000 went to project number 1? That's right, 100%. When you refer people to our community, when they donate that $200, 100% of that goes to you. So let me ask you this. How many individuals are out there that need funding for some type of personal need? How many groups, nonprofits, organizations, businesses need funding? All right, they're all over the place, right? So all you and I have to do is spread the word. When the people identify with what we're doing, they will do what they need to do for themselves. Are you with me? So now, but you going out there and doing it by yourself, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what happens when you join the community, where we support the projects of one another. Would you like to know how that works? All right, thought you never asked. So you see that $1,000 right there? That $1,000 belongs to that project, project number 1. That's all his money. He can do whatever he wants for that money, fund his project. That's his money. But he might volunteer to take a little bit of that and help a few of the other projects within our community. So how much is he going to take? According to our formula, he would take $320. So where's that $320 coming from? It comes out of the $1,000 that he received, because remember, in our program, you never have to go back in your pocket again. The program is self-funding, right? So now that $320, he's going to actually donate it to the next 3 projects. Project number 2 is going to get half, $160. Project number 3 gets 25%, and project number 4 gets 25%. Now, because he gave out of his surplus to help someone else, he now qualifies to receive more donations from inside the community as the community grows. But remember those first 5? Well, they're going to go out and they're going to spread the word too, because that's what we do in our community. So let's say that those 5 refer 5. So that means you have 25 projects now donating $160 to your project once they get to that point. So how much is that? 25 times 160, that's $4,000 to your project, just that fast. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you know those 25 people? No, you don't. They're part of this ever-growing community. Isn't that interesting? And in this community, we support the project of one another. Now, that $4,000, that's all your money. You can do whatever you want to do with it. Now, you might decide to take a little bit of it and donate to the next 3 projects. Well, how much would you take? It's going to be exactly double, $640. Where does the $640 come from? It comes out of the $4,000 you received because, as we mentioned, you never have to go back in your pocket again. Now, that $640 is shared or donated to the next 3 projects. Project number 4 received $320. Project number 3 received $320. Project number 4 received $160. And project number 5 received $160. Now, because you did it again, you gave out of the goodness of your heart to help someone else, you now qualify to receive more donations from this ever-growing community that we have. So remember those 25, we're going to say that they go out and they refer 25. So now you have 125 projects donating $320 to your project this time. So how much is that? Well, you're going to want to do the math yourself. But I can tell you this, it's significant and it can have a major impact on the average family, the average individual, group, or nonprofit. So now that you have those donations, you can use that all for yourself, or you can take a little bit of it and help somebody else. What would you rather do? Help somebody else? All right. So you're going to take $1,280 this time, from the large amount that you just received. And that $1,280 is going to be donated to the next 3 projects. By the way, our software does this on automatic pilot for you. So project number 4 gets half, $640. Project number 5 gets 25%, which is $320. And project number 6 gets $320. And because you gave out of your overflow to help someone else, you now qualify to receive more donations from this ever-growing community. Once you get this community going, it will take a life of its own, and you won't be able to stop it if you wanted to, ladies and gentlemen. So now you have 125 projects referring 5 projects each. That is 625 projects donating $640 to your project this time. So how much is that? Well, that's life-changing, because these are the type of donations that can have a major impact on the life of an individual and the future of an organization. Can you see that? So I have a question for you. Is this all of the donations? No, it's not. In fact, this is just the very beginning, because what would happen if you were really focused and you went out there and you referred 10 individuals or organizations in the beginning, or 20, or even 30? What could that do to the potential of the donations that you're going to receive? Can you see that? So, ladies and gentlemen, it's the power of multiplication that makes this so powerful. This is why our shared community crowdfunding platform is so different. We use multiplication rather than addition. With addition, that's you and I going out there doing it by ourselves. Well, we got the t-shirt because that's what we've been doing all these years. But in multiplication, we leverage the relationships, the connections, the influence, the energy, and the knowledge of one another, and the difference is exponential. Now, some funds are received immediately. We talked about that, cash donations and instant donations, because some people need help yesterday. Other funds go into the community e-wallet, and you can withdraw that to your PayPal account. We also have an international debit card, and you can also withdraw it to your bank account. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's technology that's having such a profound effect on our lives. In fact, technology is transformational, and our proprietary software can be set on automatic, and it will do the work for you 24/7. It makes the donations, it receives the donations, you receive an email that you just received a donation. Those are pretty exciting emails. So it doesn't get any easier than this. So how do you get the message out? Well, you can just keep doing what you're doing now. Just talk to people, just communicate with people, let them know what's going on out there. And of course, we have these webinars that we do. We've got live meetings that we do across the country. We've got capture pages and all these other ways that you can reach out to people, because you can use technology to do it. Text messages, you can send out 10 emails every day. You can post on social media, Facebook and LinkedIn, Instagram. And you can set in motion an internet tidal wave around the world that may change your life forever. Now, remember what the great motivational leader Zig Ziglar said. He said, if you help enough other people get what they want, you will get what you want. Would you agree with that? This is the power of our revolutionary shared donation distribution formula, ladies and gentlemen. We succeed in funding our projects by helping and supporting others to fund theirs. It's a true win-win formula. So you can start today. You can join for free. You can add your dream project to the website. You can promote it yourself. The money goes directly to you. You get 100% of the money. Just get back in contact with the person who referred you. They'll show you how to get set up. Or, ladies and gentlemen, you can join our community by making a one-time small out-of-pocket contribution to the project that referred you. You can begin sharing your project with others, help others do the same, and you can keep donating within the community to qualify to receive more donations as the community grows. So what's your dream? I think you can see crowdfunding can make it happen fast, taking weeks and not years. So in closing, I'd like to ask you this. What does freedom look like to you? And let me ask, have you ever been in a situation where you were financially you had your back against the wall? You had some things that you need to take care of, but you simply didn't have the money? That's a terrible spot to be in. Sometimes you can even get into a spot like that, and it's like the walls coming on you. It's like you freeze up. Anybody ever been there? You know, although it may not have been a literal prison, you can equate it to a mental prison because you just go through so much anguish. And so I have a question. What would you give for the key to your freedom? And how much would that freedom be worth to you? Well, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, I was in a situation like that. I was in the construction business. My wife was a stay-at-home wife, and we did very well for a lot of years. But then the Great Depression, the recession came in, and you know it got pretty bad. We managed to hold on for about 2 years, but after that, the bottom fell out. My income went from 6 figures down to about 20,000, and we fell behind on the bills. In fact, we hadn't made an on-time mortgage payment for over 12 months. Well, needless to say, we got the foreclosure notice from the bank. Quite frankly, I didn't know what to do. And for 3 weeks, I didn't tell anybody anything. You know, a lot of times people are dealing with things and they're not going to tell you what they're dealing with. And that's how it was for us. But thank goodness I snapped out of it because we had received a notice that they were going to auction our house on the courthouse steps. And just in time, I got on the phone and called a friend and asked for some advice. He said, Mark, I can't give you any money, but I can tell you what to do. Get in contact with a good attorney, and I happen to know one. Well, I contacted the attorney. Turned out to be the best advice anyone could have given us. And what they did was they put the bank off for a little bit of time. Well, and in any case, I was already involved in this program, ladies and gentlemen. I had been involved in this program for just about 2 months, maybe a week or two more. And over the next 5 weeks, we were able to raise enough money to pay the bank all the money we owed them, to pay the lawyers on both sides. We got back in right standing with the bank, and every dime came through this program. I've seen it happening. I've seen some powerful things happen in my own life, and I've seen it happen in other people's lives. It's pretty amazing what this concept can do for people. Now, maybe, ladies and gentlemen, you've tried things in the past to get your freedom, but they didn't work. You know, I've got a bunch of stuff in my garage right now. You know, we sold the soap, we sold the weight loss, we sold all the other stuff, right? But it just didn't work out the way we had expected. Maybe even some people took advantage of us. Maybe we lost some money. You know, all kinds of things happen. But I have a question for you. Does that mean that you quit because it didn't work out before? You know, let me ask you something. Have you ever seen these news articles where they interview these people who were falsely accused, and they were sentenced to 10, 15, 20, 25 years in jail? They get exonerated and they get released. Then the newspaper goes and interviews them, and these people have the gall to say that they're not angry with anyone, that they have no resentments. They just want to go out there and start their lives, and they're so glad to be free and to be with their families. Isn't that amazing? Those are amazing people, aren't they? Well, listen, suppose they came out and they were angry. Suppose they came out and they were bitter. How long do you think it would be before they'd be right back behind bars again? Ladies and gentlemen, that's the type of attitude it takes to win. You have to let go of the past. You have to forgive the people. You have to move on in faith and in hope in order to walk into your freedom, ladies and gentlemen. Now, listen, if you want to get somewhere where you've never been before, you have to be willing to do something that you've never done before. And I have to tell you this, I've done a lot of things, but I've never done anything like this before, ladies and gentlemen. We don't do any selling. We don't have to do any buying. We don't have any monthly fees or anything. We just simply show people how to get the funding to do the things that they need to do. Here's the great thing. It's not a grant. It's not a loan. There's no repayment required. The money comes through crowdfunding, and it's absolutely awesome. Last year, $16 billion was given to people to help them. This year, it's estimated at over $34.5 billion is going to be given to people to help them. I have a question for you. Would you like to get a share of that for yourself, for your family, for your business, for your nonprofit? Well, if you do, get back in contact with the person who referred you. Now you have an opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to live your dreams in Technicolor. And we look forward to working with you, helping you raise the money that you need for your personal business and charitable projects, just like us. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for being on this webinar. We're going to end the webinar now. Now we're going to go into a Q&A session. Please stand by.
Muted. All callers are muted. Unmuted.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just unmuted the line. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask those questions now. We're going to do the best to get those answered for you. You may need to press *6 in order for us to hear you. Does anyone have any questions or comments? All right, and this is Mark Hamlin. I'm live from Richmond, Virginia. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and press *6. We should be able to hear you. We want to make sure we get all your questions answered. And also, if you're on the webinar, you can also type in the chat box if you have any questions there, and we will go ahead and answer those. So we got a lot of people from all over. I can see in the line here: Las Vegas, Midway, Georgia, of course, Richmond. We got Virginia here, and some other places as well. So we're glad to have you all with us. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't seem like we have any questions. You know, it's the holiday weekend. A lot of people out relaxing and enjoying their families, which is definitely the thing that you want to do during a holiday season like this. But I do want you to know that we have got a Facebook group. It's called Never Broke Again Club. Never Broke Again Club. We have over 1,200 members. And so we encourage you to join that group. You're going to get a lot of insightful information about this concept, other encouraging information to help you move forward, to get a better understanding of what we do. And so definitely go ahead and join that group. But get back in contact with the person who referred you. They will answer all your questions, and we'll show you how we partner together to help one another. One of the things I really liked about this is that we are creating a community that's comprised of nonprofits, organizations, businesses, groups, you name it. And this community that we're building is global. It goes all the way around the world. And it's so amazing, so amazing. And it's definitely what it takes to make some changes in our lives and in the lives of others. So I'm not going to keep you long. I'm going to go ahead and enjoy the time with my family as well. But get back in contact with the person who referred you. We look forward to working with you. Now, by the way, I'm actually in a series. We're doing a East Coast tour right now. So on the 11th of July, we'll be in Washington, D.C. We're going to do 3 workshops out there. And then on the 13th, we'll be traveling to Wichita, Kansas. We're going to do some workshops there. Then Houston, Texas on the 15th, 14th and the 15th, or the 15th and 16th, something like that. And then from there, we'll be headed out to Chicago. We'll let you know when that's going to be. And we've got some other places that just haven't been confirmed yet. So join up with us, ladies and gentlemen, and get plugged in. We'll show you what to do. We have a concept that appeals to a lot of people. When we go to cities, we actually pack the room with hundreds of people, and we have a very high conversion rate because this is real. It absolutely works. It's legal, and it's so powerful. So the timing couldn't be better for what we do. So we look forward to getting in contact with you. And let's see if I have any questions. Someone said, do we have to sign in again to join each time? And the answer is no. You're going to receive an email. Once you register the first time, you're in the database and you'll receive emails. So you simply check your email and the link, you have a personal link there. You just click on the link and you'll be able to join us. So I'll be back again tomorrow. You know, we do this every Sunday and every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Sunday and Monday. So you're welcome to come back and to join us on those times, and you can invite your guests as well. All right. Well, I think that's all we have. Let's see. I'm going to read one more question here. So someone asked me, can you tell us what you did to get to your level and how we can copy you to get that kind of success quickly? Okay, I can't answer that. A couple of things I did. If you're on the Facebook group, you're going to see the 10 success rules by Jack Ma. Let's go ahead and take a look at that, because this is a great question. I'm going to go into Facebook. Hold on one second here. I'm going to show my screen again. Actually, I think you are seeing my screen, aren't you? Yeah, you are. Let me see something. Okay. I'm going to go here and go to Facebook. The Facebook group, which is Never Broke Again Club. And as I mentioned earlier, we have 1,146 members as of this count. All right, now, if I scroll down in here, you're going to see a post that I put up here by Jack Ma. All right, now I actually would have to play the video to mention all 10 of the items. But the first item he mentioned deals with rejection. When you have a great thing, you cannot allow the rejection of other people to dissuade you. When you know within your heart that you are in the right place at the right time, you just keep pushing forward, no matter what kind of responses you get from people. That is irrelevant. What's relevant is what you do. The other thing he talked about focus. And unfortunately, most people, when they get involved in programs, they don't stay focused long enough. They jump around from one program to the other. And you need to understand, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't do that. When I saw this, I knew it was something special. And I dug in and I gave it 100% of all I had, as though my life depended on it. Because that's what you have to do when you want to win, right? And that's all I did. I just went out and I consistently talked to people. I've personally referred over 116 people. So you might say to yourself, well, Mark, you know, you're extraordinary. You know, an average person couldn't do that. Well, an average person can do that, because how did I do that? I did that one person at a time. So I've been involved in a program for just 10 months. That's not very long. And it has absolutely changed my life. You know, I told you when I was in the construction business, my wife had to work. I mean, my wife didn't have to work. When we went through all of this stuff, my wife had to go back to work. Well, guess what? My wife doesn't have to work anymore. My wife is back home. Why? Because of the success of the program. My whole life has changed. Now, here's the thing. We're able to raise money for our projects, so we can go out there and do the things that we want to do, live out our dreams and our talents. But guess what? We don't have the overhead. We don't have the anxiety of all those things that I had when I was out there in the construction business. It's a form of freedom, if you understand what I'm saying, and it's pretty phenomenal. So now, give you some more tips. So I learned as much as I could about this. I went through the learning curve, and then I went out, consistently shared the information with people. I even did regular meetings, old school meetings, and I still do them to this day. Right? And when you're going out and you're sharing this concept, let me tell you what you're really looking for. You're looking for some leaders. You're looking for people who see what we see and want to really go out there and do something special. But with a platform like this, you don't need a whole lot of people. Just one good leader is enough to change your life. But you might not want to stop with one. You might want to find 2 or 3. Where are those people going to come from? They're going to come from you going out and sharing the word consistently. Those are the keys. But go to the Facebook group, read that article about Jack Ma. Jack Ma is the owner, the chairman, and the founder of Alibaba, which broke Wall Street records. It has the world's most successful IPO, more than any other company in the world. They raised over $20 billion in one day. And they're a phenomenal story. And so is this gentleman. You want to listen and you want to read and learn from people like this, and they will absolutely help you. Okay, so hopefully I answered that